emissions.
Thank you very much. Dr. Hoffer, do you support a CO2 tax?
Okay. Okay, how come?
Sorry, I always forget this.
Oh.
Geezer land, you will get there.
Okay. Did you say yes, you support a CO2
Yes,
tax?
but it's not proper. I don't think the question is properly formatted.
Okay,
A
well,
carbon tax.
I get to ask it. I'll ask you another follow-up.
understand.
Dr.
A
Garvey,
carbon tax depends
reclaiming
on the
my
details.
time.
Yes.
Reclaiming my time. Dr. Garvey, do you support a CO2 tax?
I support that the Congress needs to deal with the problem and decide how best to manage CO2.
Do you think it's a good tool to do it?
I'm not a legislature. I
Okay,
can't comment
so you're
on
not
tax.
qualified to comment on that?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Oreskes, do you support a CO2 tax?
Well, let me say that I'm not an expert on taxation policies, but leading economists around the globe, including my good colleague Nicholas Stern, with whom I have an op-ed piece in today's New York Times, who wrote the Stern Report, former economist of the World Bank, he and virtually all of his colleagues do think that carbon pricing is an effective way to address the issue without damaging the economy.
Okay, Ms. Eubanks, do you support a CO2 tax?
Not necessarily.
Okay, Dr. Ali, do you support a CO2 tax?
Not if it creates hot spots and hot zones.
So there are only two people here that support a CO2 tax. Dr. Hoffer, what should the tax be per ton?
I prefer something called the fee and dividend tax. You're probably familiar with it because it uses market mechanisms, and essentially all of the money collected except for administrative fees would be returned to taxpayers. I think that given the polarization in the United States,
Can you tell me what the fee would be?
that would be the most viable way to
Can you tell me what the fee would be?
I can't because I haven't
Okay,
prepared the
Dr.
specific
Oreskes,
numbers on that.
What would your fee be?
Well, it wouldn't be my fee. I think that's a very unfair way of posing the question. I think this whole line of questioning is a bit weird for this committee, but since you asked—
It's not weird, because the presumption, let me get to my
Okay,
point here,
yeah,
which you all are doing a great job of making.
Yeah.
The presumption of this hearing being held in the Civil Rights and Civil Liberties Committee is that, that somehow raising the price of energy would help the economically challenged in our society.
Okay.
Ms. Gunasekera, can you talk about the impact of the price of energy?
Well, could I answer that?
No, I'm asking, you had a chance. Ms. Gunasekera, could you talk about the impact of the rising price of energy if there were a CO2 tax on vulnerable populations?
Yeah, and let me state for the record, I do not support a tax on CO2, primarily because it would increase the price of energy and electricity. And we know the impacts because you've seen this happen in Germany, where energy and electricity is now a luxury commodity. And so a significant number of studies were done during the last administration assessing the impact of cost increases affiliated with their Clean Power Plan. And one of the studies that stood out to me was from the Black Chamber of Commerce that found that it would result in hundreds of thousands of less jobs in the Hispanic and Black communities, as well as in communities where people are living on fixed income or low income budgets. It would force them to make decisions where they forego meals, they keep their house at unsafe temperatures, they stop going to the doctor, and they don't seek out preventative health care because of the costs that they're trying to save in order to afford expensive electricity.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ali, you stated that most of the refineries are located in minority communities. Is that true?
I said disproportionately located.
Disproportionately
Yes.
located. Can you give us an example of one that's not?
That's not located
Yeah.
in a community of color? No, I can't, not at this
Let me
time.
give you an example. There's one in my district, and it provides jobs. It's actually one of the best things that's ever happened to our district, because we have a problem with brain drain in eastern Kentucky. People grow up, they want to get an education and get a career in STEM, and the one opportunity we have is at that refinery. I worked there 3 summers while I was a college student. It was the only opportunity that I had to get a job in science, technology, engineering, and math was that refinery. If you could wave a wand and make those refineries go away from the communities of color, would you do that?
I always honor the work that has happened in the past when we didn't have other opportunities for different types of energy sources. I would.
Would your community be better, would those communities be better off or worse off without those jobs in those refineries?
That's why we talk about a just transition. That's why we talk about getting advanced manufacturing opportunities. That's why we talk about solar, wind, thermal.
Could you answer
all
my
these
question?
various
Are you
things.
better off or worse off with that refinery in those communities?
You're worse off because of the health impacts, and you can get other types of industries in those areas.
If they leave those communities, please send another one to my congressional district, because it has been a godsend to our congressional district, particularly for the people who need jobs.
The gentleman's time has expired.